Hey, welcome to the Unfiltered Conversations podcast with yours truly, Kelly Mack and
Y Square. Come on now.
Yes. So, Y Square, we've been talking about doing this for over a year now.
Years.
Creating our own podcast because everybody else is doing it, so why not us?
Right.
And one thing I'm going to say, don't y'all get out there talking about some ebony and ivory. It's ebony and honey, okay?
Ebony and honey. Come on now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, long story short, I have over 20 years of broadcasting and radio experience. I've been in media, corporate, broadcasting, all of that good stuff. And then my good friend Yolanda is the wife of a renowned...
Come on now, Tonex. Y'all know him, national
radio
comedian.
DJ and comedian. Yes.
But I also like to consider myself a generational entrepreneur. I come from a line of entrepreneurs.
Yes.
I've had the privilege, and I call it a privilege, even during the crazy times of working for myself.
Yes.
And being able to build and understand what that means and being able to be in control of my narrative and of my destiny.
Right.
So like you said, this was something that we've been planning to do for a minute, to collaborate. Another reason why Unfiltered Conversations is, to me, I think so great because we are the true epitome of collaboration over competition.
Absolutely.
We bring both insight from different perspectives, from different walks of life. As you see, you get the taste of two different grid colors. Yes. And that's what it's all about. Real talk, real conversations that are unfiltered.
Yes. And I'm not going to lie. When I first met Yolanda back in 2017, to be exact, of course, I met you as the wife of a fellow radio DJ. So we naturally clicked because you understood who I was, where I was coming from, and what, radio and being in the spotlight was all about. But I think the reason we really clicked was you said something so powerful to me. And you said, I ain't never worked for nobody. And I was like, well, what do you mean by that? And you're like, can you elaborate?
Right. And I had to sit back and take that in myself.
Yes.
Because sometimes we don't celebrate our wins and our accomplishments the way we should. And now that I am a transformational architect, certified life coach, I'm realizing how important that is. But to go back to it, I literally started out the womb from knowing how to do hair. Right. I don't even understand how I knew, but I knew at 6 years old, I looked in the mirror and I did not like the way the hairstylist was doing my hair that my mama was taking me to.
Right.
I saw a different projection for my future, for my hair. Yeah. And I literally went into my mom's cabinet. At that time, it was a PCJ, press and comb in a jar. I'm sure y'all familiar with that. And I put that perm in my hair. Okay. And I totally changed the texture, totally changed the look of my hair. But within that, I put the perm in, and then I did what are called now today finger waves. I had no idea that it was finger waves.
Would you believe me if I ever told you I had finger waves?
What?
Quite a few times. And ocean waves.
What?
But keep on with
you ain't had no ocean waves and no scrunchies.
Oh yeah, wait till you see the picture.
No, you didn't. We gotta put them pictures up. Look at the picture. Look, it's up right now. But look, so that is really where I started, to me, my journey of entrepreneurship. Okay. And it really came from a passion of being creative and just liking something, like not knowing that I was good at it, but I just like to do it. Yeah. And I started with my baby doll's hair, tearing up their hairs. And I had the Christy doll, the one that grew the hair. And you could cut it. And you could pull the string in her back and the hair would either grow or get shorter. Well, I chopped it all up. And then from there, I really just found my passion within the beauty industry. Yeah. And, followed that journey, which led me into reinventing myself. It seems like every 10 to 15 years.
Absolutely.
To be honest with
there's nothing wrong with it because if you don't reinvent yourself, you're going to get lost in the sauce and be back there when everybody else is up here. So I totally get it. Something else I loved about you and that always resonated with my soul was something that your father told you at a very young age about what Yolanda wants. Let's talk about that.
Now. What Yolanda wants is Yolanda gets. And what Yolanda gets is what she wanted. That resonates with me so strongly now that I am a seasoned woman, a grown woman. But as a kid, it was if I want some candy or if I want to go to my girlfriend's house, if I want to go to the store, go shopping or use his credit card at the mall. But what he was doing was really programming my mind and my thinking.
Absolutely.
To know that whatever I want to accomplish out here,
Yeah.
Like the sky is the limit. There is no ceiling.
Yeah.
There is no glass ceiling.
Yeah.
There is just rocket ships
going
to the sky. And so I really say that to myself. That is a part of my morning motivation chant, my affirmations that I say to myself, that whatever Yolanda wants, Yolanda gets. And honestly, whatever I got is what I wanted, because that's what my mind set. Even if it wasn't the forethought, if it was the back thought.
Yeah.
You know, those things that we think about the most is what show up in our life.
Absolutely.
So if I'm on a negative frequency, then only negative things are going to show up. Right. So I learned at an early age to shift my thinking and my mindset. Because I want the best.
Absolutely. Yes. And, you know, I want everyone that's watching today to, if you don't take anything away from this first episode of our podcast, is the power of the mind, the mind. You know, what is in your mind, what you can believe is what you can receive and achieve. And if you're not pouring those positive affirmations into your children, your nieces, your nephews, your godchildren, your grandchildren, what do they have to lean on? What do they have to pull from?
Yeah.
You know, I was a middle child. So, you know, I was just I felt like lost in the sauce. I mean, my mom, she had her first child with my dad, and my dad really wanted his first child. But he has let us know over the years that he didn't want additional children, you know. So my mother, you know, she did want more kids, and she had 2 miscarriages. And then it was me. And like she always told me, I was her special baby because she didn't think she'd ever have children again. You know, but my dad kind of felt like, you know, he was kind of stuck. You know, so then it was me. And then he finally got his boy, you know, after 5 pregnancies and only, you know, 2 children. He finally got his boy number 3. So he has a boy, and then he has his firstborn, his girl. And then I'm kind of like in the middle. So, you know, they always pour into the baby and they always pour into the first child and everything in between. You kind of get lost in the sauce. So I say that to say, what your dad poured into you is a lot different than what my dad poured into me. And that has a lot to do with how you develop somebody's personality, their thought process, the whole brain pattern, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's like, what's important to you? Like, what's your favorite color?
Purple.
Okay.
And green.
Okay. And my favorite color is Tiffany blue and turquoise, you know, or any shade of green or blue. That's just me. I can deal with purple. I like pink. Got on pink today. Pink, shout outs to all the breast cancer survivors and all the breast cancer warriors. Shout outs to you. But, you know, that doesn't mean we don't like red. It doesn't mean we don't like black. And something I don't wear is yellow. Because I'm too yellow for it. But yellow would look good on you. But what I'm saying is we don't invest and we don't take that interest in those other colors because we know what our favorites are. And children can tell the same. I'm a mom. You're a mom. We're both boy moms. Neither one of us have a natural daughter. I have 2 bonus daughters because I hate the word stepdaughters. I actually have 3 because my first bonus daughter is my son's sister. But I say that to say what you say and what you put into somebody is how you develop them.
It is totally how you develop them.
Anybody under 25.
Anybody under 25. My father used to always say, and I say the saying to this day, that your goal mind, meaning your GOALMIND, is your gold mine.
I love it.
Your GOLDMINE. So once you realize the goals that you want to set and you get in that space of whatever I want, I can get, and whatever I get is what I wanted, that is the goal mindset. Once you get in that space, you're able to reach the goal mind that has whatever it is that you want to produce, that has whatever the enjoyment or whatever it is your purpose was. And so I think that was, and I appreciate you saying that because I'm the oldest of 4 siblings.
Wow.
And
so you were the firstborn.
I'm the firstborn.
So he poured into you.
And I came out feeling like I am the reason for the season.
She was the golden egg, y'all.
And I'm born December 30th.
Shout out to the December babies. December 12th.
I need y'all to Google. Not just the December babies, but I need y'all to Google to see who was born on the 30th, baby. Understand. You know what I'm saying?
We're not going to tell them?
Oh, LeBron James. Only the billionaires. Only the Billy Goats.
Okay. And I love LeBron. I'm from Cleveland. I love LeBron.
But there's several.
And I know your husband loves LeBron.
Exactly. Several other people that were born on the 30th. But I say that to mean that I think like what you said, it is a difference, because I actually was born, my parents were in the midst of their struggle. Like when I was born, my parents lived in a 1-room apartment.
Oh my gosh.
A 1-room studio. Yeah. My bed, my crib was a dresser drawer.
Girl,
I didn't have a crib.
Yep.
It was in the drawer.
Same.
But I never knew that we ain't have nothing.
And same thing. I mean, I come from a military family and we were on food stamps. I had no idea until I got grown. But we were a happy, loving family. Yeah. And my mother told me the same thing when I had my son at a very young age. I got pregnant when I was a teenager. Parents weren't together anymore, and kind of just out there, trying to figure out life. But she was like, oh yeah, well just take the dresser drawer and you can make that his bassinet for the first 6 months of his life. And I was like, what? Who does that? Like, absolutely not.
Right. But I feel like that was a part of our fiber. Like, that was a part of us understanding what the grind is, what the building is.
Right.
Seeing, not even, being coherent or understanding or knowing as a child, but seeing my parents were 21, 22 when they had me.
Right.
But seeing them come together in the 70s.
Yeah.
Without anything, a 1-bedroom apartment. My father was working a part-time job making $2.69.
Wow.
$2.69 an hour. The rent on the apartment where they lived was $40 a month. $40 a month.
And I feel old saying
like,
that. The last time I paid rent, it was like, before I moved to Charlotte, it was like my last rent was like $800 a month.
I have not been able to go out to eat for $40. Okay,
that part.
Let alone some rent, a bill. Yes. I ain't never. My nails cost more than $40. That's even if I get a polish change.
Look, that's
ain't even no feeling. But it really, I feel like
you don't pay for no manicure.
No manicure. No.
Only color polish change.
Only color, only white, only toe, only white.
Yes.
But look, they're gonna get us. No, that was look. I have Asian roots.
Yeah.
My great great grandfather was Asian.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Well, he married. Well, let me take that back. So my great great grandfather married an Asian woman. Okay. I believe that's what it was. But we definitely got the Asian us in us.
I mean, I can see it. The pattern in the clothes, the high cheekbones, the eyes. Yes. Well, speaking of backgrounds, because I know a lot of people, they don't know me from a can of paint. They don't know you from a can of paint. So my background is very multicultural as well, very mixed. My mother was Italian and Creole, so she tells us, but her father was like a devout racist, so my mother's family never wanted to deal with us specifically because, she married a black man who was really a black and German man, but in their eyes, he was black and that's it. Yeah. So like the phone calls weren't, how are the babies doing? How's the kids doing? It was like, did their hair start to kink up yet? Did they get nappy hair yet? Are they dark yet?
Those are the kind of conversations they had.
Those are the conversations they had. So the way I was brought up was that, my mother's side of the family wanted to disown us because of our ethnicity and because black and white came together and they were totally against it.
Yeah.
So, and again.
How was that for you though? As a woman, growing up, because you have also, too, going back to when we first met, that was to me a reason why I think our relationship built the way it was in our sisterhood is because of your energy.
Right.
And I've noticed just through my lifetime, being a dark complected woman, I was not always received by women, your complexion.
Absolutely.
And
I get it.
There was not always a genuine connection. And I always I wanted to be light skinned. I wanted light skin.
And I wanted to be brown skin.
And that's right.
With curly hair.
See, and it wasn't until these kind of conversations and dialogues when you have these sisterhoods that you realize, I think you're beautiful and you think I'm beautiful. But from the outside, we look, you know what I mean? The stigma is, oh, she thinks she cute because she light.
Yep.
Or she thinks she this, you know what I mean? So how was that for you?
I mean, it was to know that one side of the family completely disowned you and then another family, side of the family completely embraced you. That was very, really rough for me. And so like my mother's side was non-existent to me. I'll never forget when my mother was on her deathbed at a very young age, 47. She died from breast cancer. I went to the airport to pick up her 2 sisters and her brother. And I had no idea what these people look like. I remember seeing one of them, which was one of her sisters, I don't know the ages. We're not going to get into that. Right. But I remember her looking like my mother's mother, who started coming around later in our life. And I was like, that must be her.
That must be her.
Yeah. And it was like the eyes. And they were cool. They didn't make us feel any type of way or disrespect us. But it was just so weird that I didn't know who these people were. And the only reason they were here in Cleveland, Ohio, which is where I grew up, is because my mom was dying. Yeah. They never came to a graduation. They never came to a baby shower. They never came to a birthday party. But they were here to see their sister on her dying bed. So that was rough, knowing that there was a whole side of the family that you weren't connected to. And then, of course, it was always a black-white battle. Never black enough for the black kids and never white enough for the white kids. And like you said, like you've met my best friend, Ebony.
Yeah. Shout out to Ebony. And we have the same name. My first name is Ebony.
Right.
Albany with the L. My mama was bougie. She put an L in there.
But you met her and, she's like 2 shades darker than you, and we're like this. And she's never made me feel any different than I've made her feel. It's just a love connection. Yeah. But I say that to say, most of my friends are brown or darker. And a lot of people are like, so why do y'all hang out with people that look like you? Why does how I look, why should it reflect on who my friends are? Right. I like people with good souls, good energy. So.
And I know, so for me, my shift was, I know growing up, I never felt good. So my father was the only one who made me feel like I was beautiful.
Okay.
He would always tell me, Ebony, or, you're the chocolate skin, you're beautiful, and whatever Yolanda wants, Yolanda gets. I think that's where that came from, because I dealt with a lot of insecurities.
Yeah.
I was very, 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 very insecure. And I remember a pivotal moment. I was 15 years old. I was walking to my bus stop, and I went to Smith Junior High, and I was going to the bus stop. And actually, no, it was after school. I had just gotten off from the bus. Yeah. And as I was walking home, there was another bus that was coming down the street.
Okay.
And, when the bus come by, the football players and all that was out the window. So I could see the boy, you could tell, So I was like, ooh, let me get my strut on. I'm walking because I'm a little bow-legged and a little pigeon-toed.
Why can I picture this?
Let me do that. Girl, the bus was coming by and they was out the window. And the guy in the window was like, ooh, girl, you sure are pretty ugly.
Oh,
girl,
that crushed you,
baby. When I tell you that crushed my world, the years, and I'm like 15, 16. So that means 15, 16 years of my father telling me whatever Yolanda wants, Yolanda gets.
Yeah.
You're
and Yolanda's beautiful.
And Yolanda's beautiful. And that one moment, he crushed me. I felt my skin was ugly. I felt my hair was ugly. And he probably ain't even get a good glance at me. No. He was on the bus going by, but I'm just saying, I'm just showing how impactful what people's words are and the energy and how you are, what that does. And it took me a long time to get out of that.
Yeah.
A long time to get out of that. So I'm glad that we're having this podcast and these kind of conversations.
Unfiltered conversations.
Yep.
But real conversations.
Yeah, real.
Very authentic.
And as you see, we come together. We may have a topic or a premise of where we want to go, but this is unscripted.
Yeah.
We come together, we sit. We have our little drink, we toast.
Cheers, girl.
And we talk about unfiltered conversations, the things that you girls, that you want to talk about, that you're probably talking about when you're in your sister circles, the things that you guys are talking about at the barbershops. You know what I'm saying? The things that are being discussed at the hair salons.
Yeah.
Those are kind of topics that we are talking about here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just because you think somebody thinks they're cute, they can be the most insecure person in this world, i.e. me. She gets on me all the time. She's like, why are you so insecure? You're beautiful. And I'm like, I'm always, just kind of critiquing myself because I do come from a big media background, corporate background. But, it took somebody like you to help me understand my worth and my value and that, at the end of the day, we're all women.
Women.
We live in different times.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you're born, they say it's a boy or it's a girl. Period. So, and based on that, if you were named a girl, then you can relate to us as women who were once girls.
Yeah.
older girls, young ladies, teenagers, whatever you want to call it. We're women now. We both have children. We both have husbands. You've been married a lot longer than I have. You're an entrepreneur. I'm from a corporate background, easing into entrepreneurship, you know, so it's like we have interesting walks of life. And I can pour into you. You can pour into me. I can uplift you. You can uplift me. And I love that because even this podcast, it's something we've been talking about. And have you ever heard the saying, don't talk about it,
be about it.
Period. We talked about this for a long time. And
a long time.
We finally decided to be about it.
Right.
And it took a lot of conversations. Like, let's think back to just less than a week ago. We had a conversation. We're like, listen, this is going to happen either way. Either we're going to do this together. We're going to do this separately.
Exactly. But
either we'll do this with a sponsor, without a sponsor, but this is getting done.
Yes.
And we're sitting here for our first podcast.
Come on now. And that's what it's about. Like, you don't have to be great to start.
No.
But you have to start in order to be great.
Yes.
And that's what this was about for me and to me. And I'm one, I don't like putting something out there and saying I'm going to do it. And we don't do it. And I know that you and I have a lot to say. We have a lot of insight to share. We have a lot of things to say. And I feel like we have a presence that makes people comfortable to be able to speak their real truth.
Absolutely.
And this is a non-judgment zone. And I feel like we're doing something, you know, there's, like you said, there's podcasts all over the place. But I really feel that there's a unique chemistry that you and I possess, as well as a unique look. Come on now. The honey and the ebony.
Ebony and honey.
The ebony and the honey.
Not ivory. Pull out a bar of ivory soap.
But look, speaking of that, what do you say? So what do you, when someone says, oh, she looks like a white girl. What do you say? Like, how does that make you feel?
I mean, you know, I've heard it my entire life. So I've always been everything other than what I am. So like, it just depends on where I live. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. In Cleveland, Ohio, I was Puerto Rican. I'm not Puerto Rican, but shout outs to the Puerto Rican community, right? I don't speak Spanish, but a lot of times I'm in the airport and it's like, you know, people from the Hispanic descent will come to me and speak to me like, you know, trying to find out their gate. And I'm like, no hablas español, and that's all I know. So, you know, it's interesting. It's not as hurtful and uncomfortable now at this point in my age as it was then. But it's crazy because, you know, like, you know, there are Black folks that would be like, you know, automatically assume I'm a white girl. And then there's white people that are like, oh, she's definitely not one of us, you know? And they're like, oh, well, I remember being on a job and they were like, so how good is your Spanish? And I was like, it's not, you know, and they were like, well, you don't speak it? And I'm like, no, I'm actually not of the Hispanic descent. And I remember a girl saying, well, you know, we kind of figured you were because, you know, you have the dark hair, you have the tan skin. We thought you could speak Spanish. And I'm like, no, I'm actually Black. And everybody got quiet and they were like,
do you get upset when you have to offend yourself for saying that you're Black? Does that bother you?
Sometimes. Sometimes it does. In that particular moment, I felt like they hired me for the wrong reason, thinking I was bilingual. And then when I said, I'm actually Black, and they were like, what? And I was like, well, yeah. It's like my dad, you know, is Black and German. My mom was Italian and Creole. I shouldn't even have to explain any of that. Why does it matter? You know, and they were just like, oh. And then I had another girl on my team. She's like, I knew it was something about you. You have this exotic look. And I'm like, what the hell is an exotic look?
And that's what's crazy because from my perspective, I would say to me going in, let's say if we were going up for the same job. They would choose you over me.
You would think that because that's how you were conditioned.
Exactly. And the only reason why they wouldn't would be if they had a quota for diversity. And that's inclusion and all of that. Maybe they don't have enough chocolate girls on the team or on the roster like me. Then they would choose me. But you, they would choose you over, over me.
As far as how your mind has been, how you perceive things over life. But I got to be honest with you. I know there are doors that I have walked in and rooms that I have stayed in based on the fact of how I look. the texture of my hair, the color of my skin. And there are white people, I hate to say it, but it's true, that feel more comfortable with somebody that's more lighter complex, but somebody that can also say, oh, my friend is black.
Right.
You know, and guess what? They're talking about me as their friend and everybody else is like,
right.
What?
This is what's crazy about
it's
that.
how the world works.
You, with a relationship, you are like, to me, I feel like you have the best of both worlds because not only can you go in and, of course, be that one that fits the mold or the MO of what they're looking for, but then you get in and have a seat at the table. And because of who you are to the core and who you are with character,
right?
All you doing is setting it up for a chick like me, you know what I'm saying, to slide right on up in there with her. So to me, that is the advantage part of what I feel, you know, what you bring to the table. With just the complexion thing. And so maybe that's something that we need to talk about, maybe another podcast, another topic about, you know, since we calling ourselves Ebony and Honey.
Right, Ebony and Honey.
And collaboration over competition.
Exactly,
you know?
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you said that, you know, in the sense that, you know, you might get the seat at the table, but you're opening up the room for me to walk through and really show them what I got.
Yeah.
And that has always been my motive.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I have won awards that I know that I've been the only woman of color on a national scale to win certain awards like in radio, and I never made a big deal about it. But to know that I can open the door and somebody can come behind me, you know, that doesn't look like me, but this still represents me and my background. It's the amazing thing. Like, and that's our responsibility. I'll never forget when I interviewed Michelle Obama, and it was a television, a telephone interview. So I didn't see her in person, but we really clicked and we vibed. And she said her favorite quote.
Favorite passage or quote?
To whom much is given, much is expected.
Perfect. All right. That'll work. Well, hey, Michelle Obama, I definitely appreciate you checking in on the Kelly Mack Show.
I always ask, what's your favorite quote? To whom much is given, much is
deserved.
Expected.
Expected, yeah. To whom much is given, much is expected. Yeah.
And I was like, well, break it down. And she broke it down. She says, if you have the platform, if you have the resources, if you have the funding, whatever it is, make the best of it because people are expecting a lot from you. And I was like, wow. That resonates with my soul, you know? And I always held on to that. And this was back in like 2008, 2007, when former President Barack Obama first ran. But it's true. You know, what are you going to do to help the next person? What door is going to open up for you to walk through? And who are you going to bring through that door?
Come on.
Are you going to stay true to yourself? Or are you going to jump on the bandwagon?
Come on now.
I'm just saying. I like to stay true to myself and who I represent and what I represent.
I love it. And that's a wonderful way to close out our first segment and our first podcast segment
I think you're right.
Unfiltered Conversations. That's what the show is about, to not only speak our truth, but to bring you in too, so that way you can speak your truth.
And we look forward to bonding with you and having you join us in future episodes. We have some fire on deck, so get ready for it, baby. Thank you so much for checking us out.
Stay tuned.